Welcome back to Mady English Practice. I'm Mady.
And I'm Jules. Today we are talking about a very special theme. It is all about nostalgia, memories, and looking back at the past.
Ooh, I love a trip down memory lane. Are we looking at past tense vocabulary?
Close. We are looking at how we talk about our past habits, the things we did all the time when we were younger but do not do anymore.
Like how I wore bright pink socks every single day in middle school?
Exactly like that. But in English, there are two specific ways to talk about those past days, and they are very easy to mix up.
All right, don't keep me in suspense. What are the two words?
Well, one is actually a phrase. We are looking at used to and would. The reason learners confuse these is that in many languages, they translate to the exact same past tense. They look like they do the same job, but in English grammar, they have a very strict boundary line between them.
I hear my students confuse these constantly. Let's break them down. We'll start with used to. That's spelled U-S-E-D space T-O.
Right. Used to is a phrase we use for a past habit or a past state. Its core meaning is that something was true for a period of time in the past, but it is completely finished now.
My simple rule of thumb for used to is to think of it as the big boss of the past. It works for everything. It works for repeated actions, and it works for facts or feelings. Here's a quick example. I used to live in Tokyo.
Perfect. Living somewhere is a state, a fact. To really feel the difference between our two words, let's build a scenario. Imagine an old wooden summer cabin by a lake.
Oh, I can picture it perfectly. Tall pine trees, a quiet blue lake, maybe a slightly leaky roof.
Definitely a leaky roof. Imagine this cabin was in your family for years, but you finally had to sell it last winter. Everything about that cabin is now officially in the past.
That's a little sad, actually. High emotional stakes. The end of an era for the family.
It is. So, talking about the physical cabin itself, you could say, the cabin used to belong to my grandfather.
Yes, belong is a state of ownership. It's a fact from the past, not an action you do with your hands or feet. Used to fits perfectly there.
But what if we want to talk about the fun activities we did at the cabin? That brings us to our second word, would, spelled W-O-U-L-D.
Would is a modal verb. When we use it to talk about the past, its core meaning is a repeated action or a regular behavior, something you did over and over.
But here's the catch. Would can only be used for actions. You can never, ever use it for a state, a feeling, or a fact. For example, before we go back to the lake, when I was in university, I would study in the library until midnight.
Exactly. Studying is an action you repeat. Now, let's bring it back to our lake cabin scenario. How does would fit in?
You could tell a story and say, every summer morning, we would swim in the freezing lake.
I love that. We would swim. It paints such a clear picture of a repeated action, day after day. The cabin might be sold, but the memories of what you would do there are so clear.
And hopefully you would dry off by a warm fire afterwards.
Exactly. So where do learners make the biggest mistake with these?
The common mistake is trying to use would for past states or facts. Because learners know both words deal with the past, they swap them blindly.
Let's hear a wrong example.
A student might say, when I was a child, I would have a dog.
Oh no, that sounds very unnatural to a native speaker. Having a dog is a state of possession, not a repeated action you turn on and off every 5 minutes.
Right. The correct version is, when I was a child, I used to have a dog. Or, if you really want to use would, you must change it to an action. When I was a child, I would walk my dog.
Perfect corrections. I think it's time for a quick check-in to see if our viewers are following along.
I agree. Viewers, it's quiz time. I'm going to give you a sentence with a blank, and you have to guess if the answer is used to or would.
You can do this. Listen carefully to the verb.
Here's the sentence. When I was a teenager, blank, love rock music.
Think about the word love. Is it a physical action or is it a feeling?
The answer is used to. When I was a teenager, I used to love rock music. Loving something is a state, so would doesn't work there.
Great job if you got that right at home. To make this even easier to remember, I have a quick memory trick for you.
Oh, I'm always ready for a good memory trick. Let's hear it.
Just remember this simple phrase. Would is for walking. Both words start with W.
Would is for walking, because walking is a physical action. If the verb in your sentence is not an action like walking, running, or swimming, then you should not use would.
Exactly. I would run, I would jump, but I used to be happy.
That's brilliant and so catchy, but the absolute best way to remember is to put it into practice yourself.
Yes, it's time for your homework. We want you to write 2 sentences in the comments below.
For the first sentence, use used to describe a fact or state from your childhood, like where you lived or what your favorite food was.
And for the second sentence, use would to describe a repeated action you did as a kid. Tying these grammar rules directly to your own personal life makes them stick in your brain so much faster.
Let's do a really brisk recap before we go.
You got it. Used to works for past states, facts, and habits. It's the universal tool for the past.
And would is strictly limited to past repeated actions and behaviors.
And if you ever get stuck, just remember our trick. Would is for walking.
You're doing fantastic with your English practice. Keep showing up, and these small rules will become completely natural to you.
You used to find this confusing, but now you wouldn't make that mistake again. See you next time on Mady English Practice.